Yes, it's me, the Art Monarch, and today I'm drawing one page in my sketchbook, and I'll be making a lot of lines here. As you can see, later on, there is a bunch of different wires and cords all getting tangled up, and that's the idea of this. It's an electric pole, some kind of electric line, with a bunch of different wires going across diagonally in different directions. I like looking at pictures of electric poles with way too many wires on them. It just looks kind of cool and slightly futuristic and cyberpunkish, but maybe cyberpunk isn't as messy as that, and it's more of an old school style looking drawing here. But I like how this turned out. This is one of those drawings where I'm really in the zone, completely focused, and I strive for that when I'm making any drawing, is to get into the zone, right? That's what every artist should do. And it's difficult with distractions, noises that can be outside. But when you get in the zone, that's when things start to get good in my experience. So, like I said, this is just an electric line, so there's not a lot to this drawing. It's just a bunch of straight lines going in the same direction with some crossing over, but it is a great way to practice drawing straight lines without a ruler, and so that's how I'm going to go forward and practice with that with these. And it also looks almost like a tank where you have tiny mini cannons. Maybe it's a cannon outpost where you have this tower, tiny little barrels with tiny bullets going out of them. That's what this also kind of looks like to me. And you'll notice there are some little blocks and shapes in the middle of all these lines, and I'm assuming that's where all of the more technical bits are, the power and engines inside. So I like that. I like to make the cube and then put lines that go off from that, if that makes sense. There's this certain line look that I go for when I'm making these drawings, and I think I captured that pretty well here with the square cube, and there's lines offshooting from that. And then the bottom half of the drawing I'm not too much of a fan of. It's just kind of a mess. But the top right hand of this page does look pretty organized, and all the lines are in a neat little pattern. I like how that looks. So we'll be doing more of that. And this could be a windmill. We could have done that and put a fan on it, some kind of little blade, but that's for next time. I always get the good ideas when I'm recording the audio for the video. Why is that? Maybe it's because I'm thinking about what I'm about to say, and then it gives me more ideas of what I should draw next. I don't know. But while I'm drawing, there's not much going on in my mind. I'm just focused on the next line, the next little inch of the page. But now that I'm free to think, the ideas come down. So I'll write them down after I finish this. It is what it is. Anyways, so that's what I've done. This was a pretty long drawing. It took 2.5, 3 hours. I tried to make my drawings quick, but this one I was just going slow and really focusing on every single line stroke of the pen. I believe this is a 005 or 003. It might say it on the drawing. You'll notice sometimes that there's 3 numbers on the drawing, and if it says 003, that's the pen that I'm using, or 005, 01. Or sometimes I just like to write down random numbers to fool around with people. So here in the drawing, I'm making a grid pattern with a bunch of notches that you might be able to plug in cords or some kind of device into these little slits that I'm making. I'm not sure what I should call them, but I'm drawing little tiny lines next to each other, and about half an inch to the right I'll draw another 2, and then another one. So that's what this part of the drawing is. I need to write down these kind of techniques that I'm using. Because look, this drawing is just coming straight out of my mind, so I don't know what these little areas are called. I just make different shapes that look nice and then attach them together like I'm playing Minecraft. I'm making a building. I'm doing something like that. And that's how I feel when I'm drawing these, is that I'm putting together pieces. It's like a puzzle, but instead of having the image or the puzzle to put together, you have nothing. You just come up with it as you go along. So what I'll do is take the parts out of this drawing that I like, little areas, little techniques, I'll write them down, and I can give all these techniques very unique and overcomplicated names like the spread, the particle combustor, the I'm not sure, but we'll do that later. We'll write down a bunch of wacky little fun names for these techniques and then use them for later. I'll create a handbook, some kind of manuscript with a bunch of different little guides in that, and then sell it. That might be a good idea, actually. An imagination handbook. It's not a normal book, it's just a pocket book that you carry around with you, and if you want to draw something and you don't know what to draw, here's some shapes, here's some little interesting things that you could put together. So I guess that's the next little project we're working on here, the Art Monarch Handbook. You can carry it around with you wherever you go, in your pocket, fits nicely in your suitcase or wherever, and you can just pull it out and draw like the great artists of the past. It's going to be a very useful handbook, almost like a zine. In fact, now that I think about it, this might just be the next business move here in the Art Monarch studio. We make a bunch of tiny little artist guide handbooks, and then we put them in your local Starbucks, your coffee shop, your favorite little breakfast place, and people pick them up and they're like, "Hey, what's this?" It's a handbook on how to draw, okay? And it's very simple. It's catered towards everyone, so there's nothing holding you back from putting these little techniques and combinations together. But I think it's a good idea. We'll do something like that. I'll probably make a video where I'm doing a little tiny sketchbook, and maybe instead of mass producing them, we can make each one unique. They're a little different, so I just draw the same thing over and over. Or it could be a series where you have different parts to it. It's basically a zine, similar to that. So I'm getting good ideas right now. I did just come up with this idea, so chances are I'm not actually going to go through with it, but I like the concept of tiny handbooks. There's got to be somewhere to put them. But for now, we'll work on drawings and that by itself. So, pretty good drawing here today. I was going to make a cyberpunk treehouse and a train, but I can't do it all at the same time. Or I could. Now that I think about it, actually you can. You can put everything together on one page, but that's a lot of different things you have to do, and I'm just not into that right now. I'm more of a do one thing at a time type of person. But who knows, maybe next week we'll be drawing trains passing through cyberpunk tree houses and airplanes flying over, dropping apples on top. I don't know. Could be a fun time. But that's what I drew today, and that's all that matters. Everything counts. That's all, folks. And this drawing does look like a fishing pole, actually. A long, over-complicated fishing line. Should have drawn a fish. I'm going to go back and draw some tiny fish with. In other news, we are 50% done with this sketchbook here, so we'll be doing a flip through later this month. Or possibly in 2 weeks. I make 1 or 2 drawings a day, sometimes 3, so that's just an estimate. But we'll be doing some other stuff. If you have any suggestions of what you want to see me draw, comment down below. I might do them if I like the idea. And so that's all we have for today.